This is the Media Police Post, broadcasting from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi, Kenya. In this show, we police the state of truth in the Republic. And because truth is communicated to us by journalists and analysts, we have made it our civic duty to put it to the test. We advance from two confirmed truths about the media. One, and according to Roger Stone, the media is either lazy or evil. And for the most part, it is both evil and lazy. That is why the truth, their truth, must be put to a test.
And two, that journalism is verified gossip. In fact, what is presented to us as news analysis is gossip that has been verified by journalists. This gossip has to be ground truthed. We will assess the state of truth in what they submit to the Republic, and we will pass verdict on what is true and what is not. For the record, we are not journalists, we are thinkers. We are not lazy or evil, and we do not verify gossip. What we give you is the truth that sets you free.
On today's show, we will discuss ideas that reflect unformed and uninformed opinions, and ideas that made you stupid. Narratives that fell into the cognitive trap of we see things as we are, not as they are.
Yes.
Narratives based on conjecture history, and those that smack of envelope journalism. Welcome, AX and GK.
Thank you so much. Before I do, I would like to give a very special welcome to Ms. Poe. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
Now, over the weekend, in the presence of God and country, William Ruto declared that he has already won the 2022 elections. And today, I would like to interrogate the thought process behind his words. On the face of it, you would never expect a holder of a PhD to spout such unsubstantiated poppycock. But it is something you would expect of a man who keeps a gold bust of himself in the common areas of his house. The only problem with Ruto's claim is everything is pointing to a Ruto loss in 2022. As Herman Manyora notes in his article for The Standard, and I quote, "William Ruto's ship is sinking and nobody can rescue it ahead of August poll," end quote. The last three opinion polls have placed Raila in the lead as Ruto loses momentum. In fact, since Raila started campaigning in January 2022, Ruto's popularity has stagnated, never rising above 40%. On Matters Coalition, Kenya Kwanza is collapsing faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. Amason Kingi keeps skipping Kenya Kwanza rallies and has excised Ruto from his posters like a cancer. Kimani Ngunjuri has been urging us to vote for Baba at the top, as Mudavadi pleaded with his home county to vote ANC, as opposed to voting Kenya Kwanza. And I won't even get into Kiambu and the mess between Gachagua, Kuria, Kabogo, and all those other flower girls. On matters of base, Ruto's base is made up of youth, hustlers, and Gema, and he is losing each of these groups. Ruto is losing the hustlers to Wajakoya and the youth to Raila. In fact, the recent TIFA poll said that more youth support Raila at 43% than Ruto at 38%. And let us not forget the power of the Martha effect, the sole reason why William Ruto lost 4 percentage points in the opinion polls in a single month. Literally everything is pointing towards a Raila victory in August 2022. In light of this overwhelming evidence, how can Ruto say he is confident of a victory? Is this just political bluster? Or does Ruto know what the outcome of the 2022 elections will be? If so, how does he know? First, and to answer the first question, I doubt this is mere political bluster. As Ruto told us himself when explaining why no one could find evidence of his bad-mouthing the president, he is a careful man. This means that he does not speak wantonly but with purpose. If indeed these words were intentional and not mere political bluster, then two options as to their meaning are apparent. Given in order of likelihood, we will start with option A. Option A is Ruto is cementing the perception of unassailable victory amongst his base, therefore creating a background of acceptance such that when he cries rigging, they will believe him. And this is something we have discussed frequently here on the Fifth Estate. We know what the consequences of this are, as we saw in the US when on January 6th, Trump supporters stormed the US Capitol, threatening to kill the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and hold members of Congress hostage, which then leaves option 2. Option 2 is this. Is it possible that Ruto is confident of victory, facts be damned, because he has guaranteed it? We have dedicated time to exploring the links between the IEBC and the Kenya Kwanza campaign, and that link is a man called Davis Chirchir. The fact that Marjan, the CEO of the IEBC, and Chirchir, Ruto's chief of staff, worked closely together for decades. This is one link. The second link is the fact that Smartmatic local Kenya representatives were associates of Chirchir. And the third link, the fact that Chirchir was head of ICT at the Interim Independent Electoral Commission and therefore has intimate knowledge of our electoral structures. Everything is pointing to William Ruto. So, is it possible that in telling country he is confident of victory, he has also told country of his plans? If this is the case, I would like to remind Ruto that a lot of people throughout history were also confident of their victory and had that confidence humbled by reality. So please, Mr. Ruto, sit down.
Wow. You know, today I would like to respond to an article on Al Jazeera by Patrick Gathara titled In Kenya, Elections Have Lost Their Shine.
Okay.
Gathara makes the argument that the upcoming elections are about nothing but more of the same. He argues that the two frontrunners of the presidential election represent the same old cycle of political interest and selfishness. And as a result, elections remain an unlikely path to real and sustained change. But from where we sit, that article is both unfair and untrue. And I say this for two reasons. First, Gathara makes the argument that by Raila and Martha Karua choosing to work with President Kenyatta, they have in effect become sellouts. That by choosing to work with the president, they have become part of the institution that they have stood so firmly against. This could not be further from the truth. And in fact, I invite Mr. Gathara to take a deeper look into our country's history. The Uhuru-Raila connection is actually an agreement to deal with the ills of our history. The ills of such as October 25th, 1969, where Kisumu residents clashed with the Presidential Guard, the history of 2007 election violence, and the history of tribal exclusion throughout. It is a partnership built to both cure and complete the process of liberation. This is what marks the 2022 elections and the Rarua ticket as radically different. It represents the fact that for the first time in our history, Kenya will have a non-Kikuyu or Kalenjin president and a non-male deputy. That is in fact exciting.
Indeed.
It tells people of this country that they too could one day become president. Just ask the people of the United States and Tanzania with the introduction of characters such as Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and Samia Suluhu. But that is not all. The true hypocrite in the context of this election perhaps is William Ruto. He is the one who represents more of the same, considering that he has been sitting as the second in command of the Republic of Kenya for nearly 10 years. Yet he has continued to advertise himself as the change candidate. This in itself is hypocritical. One cannot pick and choose which parts of their legacy can be displayed and which ones must be ignored.
Amen.
Anyways, secondly, Gathara attempts to make the argument that the apparent apathy in the country is a representation of voter dissatisfaction against the options before them, as well as a return to the norm after the hysteria of the 2010 constitution. Except Gathara has misread political history in our view. A correct reading will deconstruct this whole idea of apathy. It is true that some regions may experience lower voter turnout than in the past few elections. This is not a condemnation, but rather it is an indication of a pattern. In the mountain, voter attendance depends on two things: representation on the ballot box and an object of aggression. In 2013, the object of aggression was ICC, and one of their own was running for president, that is President Kenyatta. As a result, Gema had a voter turnout of about 89%. By contrast, the 2002 election was the lowest historically for Gema turnout at 61%, and national turnout was 57%. Gema was satisfied with a Moi exit and a Kibaki presidency, so they were not as incentivized to vote. And even though Gema has no significant skin in the game in the 2022 election, each presidential candidate, all four of them, has selected a deputy from the mountain. The mountain feels somewhat secure, so we can expect the average turnout to remain at around 71%. Perhaps Gathara has fallen into the cognitive trap of seeing things as he is instead of how they are. Perhaps he himself is dissatisfied and has generalized his personal feelings to represent the entire nation's sentiments. But the options before us come election day on August 9th are like night and day, and only one ticket represents true and real change.
Yes.
You can take that to the bank.
That is true. So today I would like to discuss the column by Francis Omondi titled Reimagining a Nation, Kenya Not for Two Tribes Only, published in The Elephant. And although I agree with the title of his article, I differ with some of his sentiments. In the 59 years of independence, only two tribes have claimed the presidency, Kikuyus and Kalenjins. Kikuyus and Kalenjins combined make up approximately 14 million people, but the entire Kenyan population is more than 50 million. The presidency should not be held by just over 28% of the population.
Yes.
In our view, Mr. Omondi's column has one point. His point is that the time has come for Kenya to move from the politics of the tribe to the politics of the nation. Omondi argues that colonization and neo-colonization created permanent minorities and permanent majorities. This majority-minority divide was made permanent through the politicization of identity. We must now unmake these identities. And we agree with Omondi's one point. Ethnicity was engineered as a colonial project to organize our politics. When political consciousness began to simmer in pre-independence Kenya, it was arrested in ethnic formations known as district associations. And Gema, the Gikuyu, Embu, Meru Association was one such association. We would, however, like to modify Mr. Omondi's one point. Yes, Kenya has an issue with ethnic majoritarianism, but that's not the problem we suffer from. We also have an issue with exclusion. And exclusion, if not addressed, could lead to conflict. I'll give you examples. In Sri Lanka, the Buddhist Sinhala majoritarianism, which was based on religion and language, led to a 30-year civil war with minority Tamils. In Nazi Germany, the majority unified under the racial and ideological platform. They killed Jews and anyone opposed to their ideology. And although William Ruto has attempted to change the debate on ethnic majoritarianism, which he knows would have disintegrated his ambition by making the election about the Mama Mboga economy, this does not erase the fact that 40 tribes have been historically excluded from the helm of leadership. With just 27 days to go to election day, perhaps time has come to liberate the 40 tribes that have been historically excluded and elect Raila Amolo Odinga as the 5th president. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us on Media Police Post. See you next Monday. Columnist, you have been put on notice.